Just to bring you a line of some news that's just come to us, a soldier accused of planting fake bombs at a military base has gone on the run from prison, sparking an urgent police hunt.
A terror suspect who became Britain's most wanted man. A daring escape from a London jail. A nationwide manhunt. Ports and airports on alert across the UK. Hours of searching become days.
Daniel Khalife will be found and he will be made to face justice.
But how did he escape and who is responsible? Wandsworth, a leafy area in southwest London. It's home to one of the UK's largest prisons. The Victorian jail holds around 1,500 prisoners, almost double what it was originally designed for.
It is such an overcrowded but also very busy prison. So there are lots of vans coming in and out of the jail all day, getting people off to court, bringing in supplies into the prison. But there are also lots of prisoners locked away in cells which are designed for one person, with two sharing a very cramped space.
Wandsworth is an all-male Category B jail with inmates who have committed serious offences, but it is not a maximum security prison.
You look at a place like Wandsworth, it's absolutely terrifying and secure and scary from the outside, but you go inside, it's just abject chaos on a day-to-day basis. There aren't enough staff, the staff that are there aren't properly trained. There's a lot of very vulnerable prisoners there with mental health conditions and drug problems that people don't know how to deal with. It's like kind of a dystopian Fawlty Towers is the best way I can describe it.
On Wednesday, the 6th of September 2023, news breaks.
A manhunt has been launched after a terror suspect escaped from HMP Wandsworth this morning.
It prompts a national effort from police forces across the country.
I would ask the public don't approach him directly, call 999.
I want to reassure people that public safety is, of course, our paramount responsibility, and that's what we're focused on.
This is an extremely serious matter, and it has highlighted catastrophic and multiple failures.
But who is he and how did he escape? His name is Daniel Khalife, a remand prisoner in Wandsworth while awaiting trial for serious terror offences. On the morning of his escape, he's working in the kitchen. Catering supplier Bidfood delivers to the prison. It leaves the compound, but the driver isn't alone. Khalife is reportedly strapped to the bottom of the van. These aerial images show some of the layout of Wandsworth Prison. It's understood that Khalife's escape occurred just after 7:30 in the morning when the van left the jail. Khalife was officially declared missing by prison authorities around 20 minutes later at 7:50. After the delivery van left Wandsworth, it travelled for over an hour towards West London before it was stopped by police at 8:37 AM, over 3 miles away. Here you can see police searching the vehicle, but Khalife was gone. The company confirmed a security incident and said it was cooperating with inquiries. The police now know Khalife didn't cling to the truck for long and is loose in the suburban streets of the capital.
In the first hour, when somebody escapes from prison, there will be officers immediately deployed to look at the CCTV inside the prison and outside. So there's lots of cameras and opportunities to find him, an image of him straight away, if indeed that's where he did get away from that van.
He is thought to be wearing his chef's uniform, similar to these pictures, but little else is known publicly about what he has with him or where he's going.
The security services and counter-terrorism police will be looking to see whether or not he has been supported and potentially whether or not this is a pre-planned escape. Because obviously with pre-planning could come the fact that he already has things purchased for him, clothing, he may already have the ability to change his identity, tickets may have been bought for him to get out of the country.
Daniel Khalife grew up in London. He's of Lebanese heritage on his father's side. It's believed he left school in southwest London after his GCSEs and joined the army. People who remember him said he was just a normal teenager. Fellow soldiers told the BBC he was a joker who messed around in basic training. Now, he's a wanted man, with spoof posters appearing outside the prison. A former Wandsworth inmate who has since been acquitted worked with Khalife in the kitchens.
He used to unload the lorry pretty much because he was a storesman. You'd get a delivery, I think it was Monday, Wednesday and Friday or something like that, first thing in the morning. And he'd always be out there with the pallet truck, loading and unloading.
Khalife is 21 years old and described as 6 foot 2 inches tall. He joined the British Army in 2019 and was based at the MOD Stafford military base. 3 years later, in 2022, he became the subject of a police counter-terrorism investigation. In early 2023, he was accused of planting fake bombs at the Beacon Barracks where he was based. He disappeared and was arrested a few weeks later in January. Khalife is charged with preparing an act of terrorism and with collecting information useful to an enemy state, understood to be Iran. Daniel Khalife denies all charges against him.
He knew that this case was going to make him famous, you know. I think that's what he kept going on about. He said, oh, you know, yeah, I'm going to be famous, and well, he is now, ain't he? It's not really a massive shock that he got out, really.
As the search continues, the prison and its processes are under scrutiny. How could Khalife's escape have gone undetected? Delivery vehicles arriving at Wandsworth pass through 3 gates and 2 holding pens before arriving at the kitchens. After the main delivery gate, vehicles are held in a pen for checks underneath with mirrors. They're checked on top and inside too. They drive through a second gate inside the prison walls and stop again in a secure pen under constant surveillance. Beyond the third gate, vehicles are approaching the kitchen and areas of the jail potentially accessible by inmates. Movement here is restricted. All those security steps and checks take place in reverse as vehicles later leave. Authorities start looking at what protocols were followed when Khalife disappeared.
The kitchens are actually in a different bit of the site to the rest of the wings. And interesting, that's all because of Strangeways. So in the Strangeways riots, that went on for days and days and days because the prisoners took control of the kitchens. So what they've done is they've moved the kitchens out of the centre of the prison, that, you know, that big spider thing you're looking at on the news. The downside is it's much easier to escape from. So what he's done is he's seen his opening and he's just gone for it.
In the hours following the story breaking, heightened security checks are in place at ports and airports around the country, causing delays for travellers. In Kent, all EU-bound freight heading to the port of Dover is forced to queue on an empty 13-mile section of the M20 motorway, while other traffic is diverted. Despite the disruption, it's the day after his escape, and authorities report there are no confirmed sightings of Daniel Khalife.
We keep an open mind about where Daniel Khalife might be. We are still focusing our efforts here in London. We have support from colleagues all around the country helping us to try and find him.
They would be monitoring very closely the 999 call system, because when somebody comes out of prison like he has, the expectation he has nothing with him, no money, no further clothes, nothing else to help him get away. So they would be monitoring this 999 calls to see whether or not there has been any instance that could have involved him.
Daniel Khalife was trained by the UK military. He will be a resourceful individual, and that's important for us to remember when we're trying to find him.
48 hours after his escape, the police operation focuses on a nearby park. Richmond Park, 5 miles from Wandsworth Prison. Around 150 officers are now involved in the search across the country. Pleas to the public continue.
We're still really keen to get any reports from the public. Have you seen this man? Don't approach him yourself. There's no information that says he's immediately dangerous, but don't approach him yourself. We will follow it.
One of the greatest forms of intelligence is that from the members of the public, and he's very distinctive in his red and white check trousers, in his white t-shirt and his brown boots at that time.
It's a question. Did anyone inside the prison help him? Other prisoners? Corrupt guard staff? Was he helped by people outside the walls, or was it simply all of his own creation?
On Friday afternoon, there's a breakthrough.
We've had a confirmed sighting of Daniel Khalife coming out from underneath the lorry near Wandsworth roundabout. I am pleased to say that we're offering today up to £20,000 reward for information that leads directly to the arrest of Daniel, so that we can put him back into prison.
Police have confirmed new sightings of the missing terror suspect Daniel Khalife in West London.
Khalife is spotted in Chiswick and is reported to have changed clothes. Police close in on him, helicopters overhead, dogs on the ground, and search teams helped by secret MI5 techniques. Saturday morning, a plainclothes police officer ends up here, a canal towpath in the Northolt area. He sees Khalife on a bicycle and pulls him to the ground.
Breaking news just coming into us from the Metropolitan Police, who have confirmed in the past few minutes that they have arrested a terror suspect who escaped from Wandsworth Prison on Wednesday.
It seems Khalife travelled from Wandsworth Prison to Chiswick and then to Northolt, 12 miles from where he started.
I'm very pleased with the news, and my thanks to the police officers for their fantastic work over the past couple of days, but also to the public who came forward with an enormous number of leads to help the police in their inquiries. It's good news that we've recaptured the person concerned. As people already know, the Justice Secretary has initiated an inquiry into the circumstances of his escape.
Just over 72 hours after he escaped, Khalife is captured.
We found him and he's back in custody. We will move our resources now back into the investigative effort to identify how he came to escape from Wandsworth Prison and support any criminal charges that might follow.
Throughout the days he was missing, questions arose about the state of the prison system and the circumstances around the escape. The government launched an investigation into the security breach and the security categorisation of Mr. Khalife.
No stone must be left unturned in getting to the bottom of what happened. Who was on duty that morning? In what roles? Ranging from the kitchen to the prison gate. What protocols were in place? Were they followed?
It simply beggars belief that a man being held on suspected terror charges was able to escape a prison by clinging to the bottom of a food delivery van.
There have been just 5 prison escapes since 2017. One of the UK's longest-serving prisoners, John Massey, escaped from Pentonville Prison in 2012 by scaling the wall using a makeshift rope. He was caught 2 days later.
Thankfully, these incidences are extremely rare. I can't give too many details because there's an ongoing police operation. I hope people will understand that, but I want to reassure people that public safety is, of course, our paramount responsibility, and that's what we're focused on.
If there's an independent investigation and that goes forward, then that independent investigation will look at everything. And I'm sure one of the things that we're looking at is how Wandsworth has been left so depleted of staff. And I hope it just doesn't focus on pointing the finger at a prison officer or prison officers.
Wandsworth Prison itself is under the spotlight.
Wandsworth is a Category B reception and resettlement prison, so it's not an obvious place for somebody who's been charged under terrorism offences who is a potential national security risk.
In 1965, it was at the centre of one of the UK's most infamous prison breakouts, when the great train robber Ronnie Biggs scaled the walls using a rope ladder. A report in 2022 into Wandsworth Prison found overcrowding, high levels of violence and under-experienced staff.
Obviously, any prisoner getting out of a jail is an extremely rare event. But particularly a prisoner who's accused of a terrorist offence makes it all the worse. To some extent, our concerns about Wandsworth over a number of years make it a jail that's more likely for this sort of thing to happen, particularly the lack of staffing, which has dogged the prison. I think when we last inspected at the end of 2021, they were 30% short of staff.
The government say they've invested millions into the prison system and confirm a number of prisoners have been moved from Wandsworth while investigations take place.
It's clear that the relevant security protocols were in place. In other words, protocols about the head count that must be made after goods are unloaded from a lorry, for example, about the searches that should take place to a vehicle before it goes through the airlock and leaves. Those protocols were in place. And second, to your specific question, the relevant security staff were in place.
So there were enough staff and they did follow all of the rules, including on vehicle searches?
Now this is the point. So the real question is, were the relevant protocols followed to the extent that they should be? And that is precisely what we need this investigation, and indeed the independent investigation to get to the bottom of.
Daniel Khalife has been found. A former soldier tracked down in a city of over 8 million people. But did anyone help him, and why did he run? His escape leaves questions about the state of UK prisons. Authorities are asking, should someone charged with a crime against the state have been in a higher security Category A prison? And what allowed the terror suspect clinging to the bottom of a van to escape?